detached from the shoulder. It was actually torn in the muscle belly, so they did a reconstruction. I had 2 doctors in Vegas that actually that came out to fix it, and now they tell me about 8 weeks in a sling and I'll be back into physical therapy and start training again. So I'm hopefully in the gym by May, but until then I'm just doing a little leg work, and I've dropped some weight now. I'm doing cardio on a daily basis, just trying to stay a little leaner and not eating as much food. So I'm taking some downtime, but traveling around still, with the attempt to get back up on the stage. I'd like to make it back for this year's Olympia. So despite all these rumors you hear, I'm not retired. I do plan on coming back, and I do plan on, even if a lot of people doubt, my success and me being able to return and win the title back, I have a game plan. So I'm going to take it one step at a time, and hopefully, many of you sitting here may not want to be a professional bodybuilder. You're just involved in fitness and the gym, eating on a day-to-day diet. At the peak of my training, I'm eating upwards to 8 meals a day. 5 pounds of meat a day on a common day. On contest diet, eat 5 pounds of fish a day. Breakfast is always 20 egg whites every day. I've done that pretty much for 20 years, which is an amazing thing, and you do get sick of it. And that's why actually the last few months I've actually had a little downtime from that crazy diet, and I've eaten a lot less and got to eat on a looser diet and enjoy life a little bit more. I want to, of course, look good. So I may not be as big as I was, but I'll bounce back. It comes back really, really fast. Some of you guys that have setbacks in your careers, or what you do, it takes time to get back, and you have to stay motivated. And hopefully some of you guys that get to meet me today, this could be motivation for whatever you're shooting for. And I want to just open up for some questions, and then of course I want to be able to take a picture with every person here. I have stuff to sign over here if you guys want, if you brought stuff. That's why I actually came here, is just so you guys get the pictures and be able to meet face to face. That's what I really love more than actually getting on the stage. A lot of people think, as a bodybuilder we love to compete. I actually don't like the competing part because it's very impersonal, and this is what I enjoy, is actually being in front of all the fans and getting to meet face to face and take those pictures. So I want to make sure that everyone leaves here with a picture taken with me. Okay, but you can. Well, I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to be huge. That was my thing. I looked at magazines. I wanted to be, really big, and it was a struggle for me because I worked making no money really. I was going to college at the time to be a police officer, so I was pretty much busted. Okay, my parents helped me out with food a little bit, and my girlfriend at the time, I ended up marrying. She worked 2 jobs to support, my career too, and we did everything we could just to be able to afford all that food that I ate and be able to train. It gets expensive. You guys know how it is, right? Nowadays, I'm fortunate. I have a food sponsor. Eat to Grow sends me meat. I get meat delivered at my house, and supplements show up at my house every single day. Everyone sends me stuff. So my house is like the GNC of Las Vegas. Where all my friends, hey, what supplements you got over there? I want to come pick some up. Kind of giving up half the stuff. But you just have to. Every day. It's moving forward, and I saw progression. I think that's what really kept me motivated. When you see success and you see results in the gym, it's easy to stay motivated. And I grew every single year. I got better and better, and everyone knows, after 3-4 years, I think I got my pro card after 4 years of training, so it's actually pretty easy for me to get in there and get the size on. Okay. I don't necessarily think I learned the hard way about things, but you have to be patient. I think bodybuilding, I look nowadays and I see how it's changed a little bit because everyone wants success so fast. And like I mentioned, when I first started talking, I should have, touched a little deeper on that. When I started training, I wanted to be a great teenager. I started 18, so I ended up, winning my class of teen nationals when I was 19. And then I thought, okay, what's the next step? I wanted to win an amateur show that gave me publicity, so I went to California and competed when I was 22. I did an amateur show that gave me publicity. I landed my first Muscle and Fitness cover. Then I wanted my professional status. I did that the next year at the Nationals. And once I did that, I said, wow, I'm a pro now. What am I going to do? I can't compete against these guys. So I took a year off. Then I trained for my first pro show the next year. Night of Champions, I got 11th place. And then I was like, okay, well, I want to do better than that at a pro show. So next year I came back, I finished 4th at the Arnold Classic and 3rd at the Pro Ironman. But I qualified for the Mr. Olympia, then I went to Olympia, got second to last place, and I was like, wow, am I really good enough to even be at this level? I was only 25 years old, and then everyone knows history. I went back the next year to the Night of Champions and won that show, my first pro show, and then I moved up to 8th at the Olympia, and then I was second and never looked back. Definitely mental focus is huge. I mean, everyone looks at me and they think of the physical thing because of how my body looks. But to go in the gym and train with the intensity every day, to be able to stay on the nutritional program every day, because that's a strange thing about bodybuilding, it's all about consistency, and it's all about meal timing, and it's a pattern that you follow, sleep patterns and training patterns. Finding what works best for you. I mean, that's the most important thing, and it's amazing because, there's a lot of people that have greater potential than me in this business, but their mental focus isn't as such. And I think really it came from a lot from my upbringing. I realized that even when I made it to the top, I still had to follow those guidelines that I used when I was at the bottom, when I was always fighting to get to the top, And I never take things for granted. I never take things for granted, even nowadays, and it's a great thrill to sit here and speak in front of you guys and be able to be an influence on people in a positive way. And I always try to stay very, very positive. I use the negatives as a positive. Winning, losing, everything's all the same to me. You guys see how I lost the Olympia this year, and I was happy. I mean, I was truly happy for my friend who won, and I can sit here now and say, I talk to Phil every day, who's now Mr. Olympia, and I tell him, I'm coming back for what's mine, So, and he's like, get it, homie, yeah, come on, I'm training over here. You're laid up with that arm, So, next question, let's get to right here. Always been a big volume trainer. I do at least 20 sets per body part. Some back and legs are done upwards to 30 plus sets. I've always got the best results, and what I consider bodybuilding is just pumping the muscle as much as possible, pushing nutrients in, blood flow, all that stuff. I've never been setting weight records, and I try to preach how I've never been injured in 20 years, and then of course before this Olympia I tear my bicep, so I can't. It was just a freak thing I've done a million times, as a photo shoot. So, I think volume is definitely. That's how bodybuilding is. You look the days back when Arnold trained. They trained pretty much all day. It was a little too much probably, but I still spend at least an hour and a half, 2 hours a day in the gym when I'm training at full intensity. I think a lot of people get steered away from that. They think less time in the gym is better. But I think a lot of volume training can be sufficient for people. Okay? As long as you eat enough, eat properly, and sleep. And he wasn't super huge, but he was placing like second, third in the world at the time. And then I realized, it was all about shape and conditioning that won the contest at that point. I used to think it was all about being huge. But I think Bob Paris was a big, big role model for me as far as physique and how I wanted to look. The back there? Yep.
How do you see the industry from back then to now?
It's changed a lot. Internet's done a different thing, and it's definitely more accessible for the fans like yourself. And I definitely think that we're more accessible that way, which is kind of cool because I answer everything on my Twitter and all that stuff, and I get a lot of emails every day, and I try to stay in touch with the fans. And I know some of you guys who Twittered me here, and I get back to them here. There's some people, yeah, okay. I know a lot of people said they would come to this event, but it's definitely levels change. Obviously, the guys got bigger. There's more money involved, and it becomes more cutthroat. And people often ask how is our relationship between the guys, and like everyone knows, Phil and I are really great friends, but. When there's a big, money bracket between the athletes, it becomes like, well, he's making more than me, and it's too much. Every athlete should be making enough to live, and I feel retire on. But it's just we're still in kind of a cult sport. So I would like to help these athletes continue to make more money. That would be my goal when I finish, is to help these guys learn how to market a little better and promote themselves and brand themselves, like the success I had in a lot of my branding, and I've learned a lot over the years just watching things and learning what people like, and how the fans are. But you get number one, the fans. That's how we make money. So you have to treat the fans right, and you know, you have to appreciate that. And I think a lot of these guys, they become superstars and they kind of forget that stuff, you know. Not necessarily get bigger. I realized that being a little smaller, since I wasn't battling like Ronnie Coleman anymore, I didn't have to be as big. And that's the thing is, you know, I wanted to, I'm too big in my mind anyway. I'll be honest with you guys. Like, I get to a point, when I was battling Ronnie, I was looking in the mirror and I'm like, this is too freakish for me, you know. But, you know, a lot of you guys, like, I just want to see the biggest guy, you know, like Marcus Rule was, you know, just loaded with muscle and all that. But I just, for me, when I got to 240, I was like happy with how I looked. But I was last at the Olympia almost, you know. So in order to get to that level, I had to get bigger and bigger. And now I tried to, you know, bring my physique down a little bit and balance things out. And definitely more conditioning, you're going to look bigger anyway. Like when I came back in 09, you know, which I thought was my best look to date, I was 254 pounds, which is the lightest. I won my first Arnold Classic at 273, and that was back in 2002. So it just shows that, you know, I can compete at all different weights and, you know, look better at different weights also. I think you need someone with an eye that can help you a little bit and really be judgmental, because the problem is you can't look at your backside, you know, and I always looked great from the front, but I couldn't see my backside a lot. So I always had to have someone with a helpful eye. And I've always worked with a nutritionist, to be honest. I mean, I worked with Chris Aceto since I was 18, and then I switched to Hani Rambod for my comeback year in 09. Just because I just wanted to try something different, you know. It got to a point with Chris where, you know, we would train for shows and he'd be like, oh, you're going to win anyway, so just, you know, this is good enough, you know. And I think we became such close friends that it couldn't be as critical. And I needed someone really to tell me that I didn't look so good. I would rather have someone tell me I look bad than look great, to be honest, because that gives me motivation to keep going harder. You know, when everyone just says, oh, you're just going to win or whatever, it's harder for me. It was, let's see, I graduated high school at like 200 pounds. So I started about 190. I think I started lifting weights at, and I gained 50 pounds like within the first like 4 months. 50 pounds. I actually worked with Chris right away. Chris Aceto helped me. You know, he would live in Maine. So I would drive 2 hours from where I lived in Worcester, Massachusetts to go see him, and I would literally drive up to his home. He lived on the beach up there. Laura Carvel was his wife at the time. She was second in the world to Corey Everson and all that. Or Linda Murray, I think, then. And I would drive up there. I would take my clothes off and pose for him in the kitchen. And he'd just change my diet, and I'd get back in my car 2 hours and drive back down. I did that every single week. And he would make the adjustments, and I'd just skyrocket up. And it was funny because when he looked at me the first time when I first started training, he's like, oh, you know, you have good potential. And then after, like, he started helping me for like 2 months, he's like, holy shit, you're going to win the Olympia someday, you know? And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. And, you know, by 21, I was like almost the size I am now, just not as dense. It was crazy. I mean, I just grew in years. Like, I mean, I spent all my time in the gym. I mean, when I tell you guys, I did nothing else but eat, sleep, and train. I mean, I didn't care. I drove like a crappy truck. I remember I had to put air in my tire every time I went to the gym because I had a slow leak, and I didn't have any money to fix a flat tire. And I would that's when the gas was like 99 cents. So I put like $2, I'd dig up change. I put $2 enough to drive to the gym and just drive back and forth to the gym on like $2 worth of gas. My truck would be empty all the time. It was all rusted out and everything. And at the time, you know, that was when we wore like neon, like tights and stuff like that. And I would like, my girlfriend at the time, I would steal her tights. Like she done leggings, right? So she had like these pink tights, right? So I remember one time I was driving to the gym and I'm like, shit, I don't have much gas and I can't find any change to get gas on my gas tank. So I end up running out of gas on the freeway. So I'm like, shit, I have these tights on, you know, pink tights, right? So it's dark out. So I'm like, all right, I gotta run to a phone, because this is before cell phones, you know? So I'm like, I gotta run to a payphone, call my friend to come get gas for me. So I'm like running down the freeway, you know, and cars would be coming, and I'd like have to jump over the guardrail and hide because I didn't want someone to see me in these pink tights. I had these big legs, you know? It was crazy, man. I remember that's all I wanted was like these T-Micro sweatshirts for Christmas and stuff. My family would just buy me these bodybuilding clothes, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a bodybuilder and wear those stupid clothes. She was just laughing. I have a picture in my book, this crazy picture with these baggy pants and all these crazy striped shirts. I was a mess, you know. It was, but the clothing was a little outrageous back then. Some of you guys that trained back then, I'm sure you guys remember all that stuff, right? Neon colors and everything. But that was a part of the bodybuilding lifestyle, man. That's how we wanted to look. You know? Fortunately for me, I mean, all my diet and training stays pretty much the same. I actually eat more when I get ready for a contest. Because I'm more at home and I can train. Like everyone knows, I have a crazy travel schedule. I travel every single weekend doing these kind of things. You know, I'm probably the busiest guy. But, you know, of course I eat more protein when I train for a competition, but luckily I'm one of the guys that diets on a lot of carbs. I mean, it's common, I eat 1,000 carbohydrates a day on a contest diet, okay? I've won shows doing no cardio, eating 1,000 carbs a day before. Lately now I do a little bit more cardio. I do at least an hour and a half a day, usually an hour in the morning, you know, half hour at night. I do step mill. And I eat, you know, on a low-fat diet, but just, you know, crazy amounts of food because to maintain my physique. Most of the time dieting down for a competition, I come down from 300 and I weigh about 280 most of the way as I glide into the show. I lose about 15 pounds the last week of the show just in water weight.